Hey, everybody. Welcome to the very first episode of the Just Make It Pretty podcast. I'm so excited you're here. So, our very first episode is going to be talking about something that I see all the time with peers and people just creating content that are in marketing. And it's feeling buried by this constant pressure to create new content, new ideas, have all these different platforms out there all the time, and just there's a lot going on in marketing. So just having everything all together all the time. And then also people throw things at us all the time too. So we get requests to create things on the fly, and that can sometimes mess up our plan or our flow that we had. So today, my goal is to talk about that overwhelm and give some tips and some ideas to help streamline your content creation process. Sometimes it's just a mindset shift that you need, and sometimes you just need a plan. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Just Make It Pretty podcast, the slightly unhinged marketing podcast for home builders and beyond. I'm your host, Sarah Haynes, also known as the Pixel Wizard, and my goal is to tackle the tough stuff that goes in behind the scenes in marketing and offer actionable tips, creative insights, and a little bit of humor to spark some creativity. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get started. Why are marketers feeling overwhelmed? So when you are in marketing, there is a constant pressure to be consistently creative, right? And if you're not in marketing, one way that I like to explain this is just think about having to think of a new idea for the same exact topic every single day. One new idea every day for the same topic. So that can be pretty tough. And when you're in marketing, you not only need to create one new idea, you need to have a social post, you need to have blogs, you need to have website updates, you need to throw events, you need to work on new campaigns, you have a community opening soon, you need to work on the branding, you need to work with your creative team. There's just a ton going on. And so a lot of people get this kind of content paralysis where they have either too many ideas or none at all, or they're just flying by every day. Like every single day, we're just trying to get by. We're reactive instead of proactive. And sometimes that also means that they just don't have time to create content that they would like to have or that they have ideas for, or maybe they just don't have the resources. A lot of marketing teams are teams of one, and that can be really challenging to not have that support. So I have a few ways that I like to get ahead a little bit, plan for those unexpected things and give us a little bit of breathing room to be able to create content when we need to. Those events that come up that weren't planned won't throw us off as much. So one of the ways that is my favorite is creating a content plan. So this is going to apply to your blogs, your social, but can also apply for like your whole year, depending on how much you can plan ahead and what type of content you're creating. You can create content plans for just about anything. So the benefits to this is just time saving. Obviously, if you've got a plan going in, you're going to not have to sit there with just blank mind. Think of these ideas right now. Like you have a theme, you have consistency throughout your year. So you know, like, oh, coming up every summer, we do this campaign or we have this theme or something that just gives you that like kickstart, right? And then you're also able to align with strategies. So when you are creating these campaigns and creating content around what's happening right this second, it doesn't give you a lot of time or ability to really strategize and connect what you're doing back to like a bigger goal. So for teams that have like your leadership team, your sales team, your marketing team, like you want to have your overall goals for the company and be able to connect your marketing to those. And that's how you're really going to be the most effective and the most helpful to the rest of your company is by having a strategy that's aligned with all of the goals of the company. So in order to do that, one, you need to have really good communication with the rest of your team. And two, you need to plan ahead far enough that you are able to actually brainstorm and strategize. So one way that I like to build that content plan is around content pillars. So you may have heard this term before, but content pillars can be basically just sections of what type of content you want. The easiest way to think about this is with social because you're posting more often, right? So when we create social pillars, content pillars, A lot of times you have one for education, you have one for your inspirational content, you have promotional, maybe you have like a testimonial or some sort of social proof. And there's a lot of different pillars that you can have. And then when you create your content, that mental load of like thinking about, okay, what do I post today is reduced because, oh, it's Monday and we always do our motivational Monday post. So that could be like a quote or something that speaks to your audience and is inspirational or motivational in some way. And that works for almost any company, right? Like you're trying to not only create business and bring in leads through the marketing, but you're also doing those branding efforts. So posting things like inspirational or something funny or something just like more cultural based is going to bring your customers in and allow them to see behind the scenes. So being able to have those different pillars gives you an avenue to meet each goal that you have. So when I'm creating those, I do like to connect it back to different strategy goals for the whole year. But a lot of times, educational, inspirational, promotional, and your testimonials are the basic ones. But you could have a number of pillars, and whether you connect those pillars with like a day of the week or a type of post that you're doing or a certain time of the month, it just keeps you organized and gives you a guide to then use when you're creating content. The other thing that I always say, especially if you're running social media, but that's batching. So breaking down your writing, your filming, your designing, whatever you're doing, or whatever you need to work with your team to do, is batching all of that together. So if you can sit all of your sales team down, or if you can go to each of your model homes one day and just film real videos with every single salesperson, that content is going to work for all month and possibly even longer. The same thing is like you're doing photos, like you're going to hire your photographer to go out to all of your model homes or to your new community, using that content then for months and months in advance or months and months moving forward. So anytime that you can do a bunch of one task at the same time is actually going to save you time. So I'll do a day where I'm focused on blogs and I'll just write a bunch of different blogs, even if they're not all 100% done, at least I've got all the info there. So when I come back to it and I'm like, okay, I need to create this blog for our next month. Like I've got my guide. I've connected it already with strategy. I've already worked through what the blog is going to be about. And so creating the content is so much easier. So really it really just comes down to scheduling. You need to schedule your time that way. And whether that's through time blocking or just setting aside like a certain amount of time each day, whatever that is, just batching up as much content as you can to then use moving forward. If you are doing videos, whether it's yourself or with like a sales team, I do recommend not being super like come in this weekend or like not being so reliant on a time frame or a certain event. Now you are going to want that content, right? Like if you're having an event, you definitely want to make videos saying come to our open house this weekend. However, if you're batching content, you want it to be a little bit more generic than that. And don't overlook the rest of your team as a way to get that content. You can make content with your marketing team. You can make content with your sales team, with your buyers. You could do interviews with your construction team. There is tons and tons of content out there. And if you batch together like content, you can actually get so much done in one day. And it becomes so much easier to not have to think about that like every single day. My next tip and something that I'm always working on is repurposing. So my idea and what I always work with my team on is if we create a piece of content, I want to be able to remix that at least 5 times. 10 is the actual goal, but 5 is like it's pretty doable. And if we're not getting 5 different uses out of every piece of content, like we're really not doing that great. So that means turning a blog into a podcast episode or turning a blog into multiple social media posts, taking that blog and creating an infographic off of it, creating newsletters off of that same blog, or taking social media posts and turning them into newsletters. So many things, especially if you do any type of long form content, if you do any type of social media, like that's going to turn into so many things so quickly if you just sit down and plan, how can I repurpose this? So when we talk about being overwhelmed, if you think about it, you're like, okay, I've got my theme for the month. I know that my blog's going to be about X topic. And from that blog, I'm going to create at least 5 social media, and then I'm going to create a newsletter. So now you've got like a pretty good start on your whole month of marketing content just based on that one blog topic. And then you're going to have your promotions and your events and all of that that's going to get added in. So you've taken a lot of work off of your plate of coming up with different ideas for each of those avenues. So other ideas here would be like creating short clips from long form videos. If you ever do like a walkthrough video of your model homes, or if your salespeople do any kind of interview, or your leadership does an interview, that is so many clips right there, right? Like you can make 5 to 10 clips from any long form video like that. And so that's perfect for your reels. That's perfect for TikTok if you're doing that. And then you can also pull out quotes. So if your CEO is on an interview with anywhere, any type of quote that he says, that can then become a post for your social. So just always keeping that in mind. Hey, how can we use this in multiple ways? Is just going to help you so much. And it's helped my team so much. And it just cuts down on all those new ideas that you have to have each day. The other thing with repurposing is repurpose old content. So you really want to be watching your analytics anytime you post anything, anytime you do anything for your marketing. You want to see how well does that perform, right? So whether that's going to your Google Analytics or you're going to the analytics in your social platforms, whatever it is, look at what performs, right? And repurpose, redo that. So say, okay, we know that this video where our construction manager was talking about this building aspect, right? He was talking about how we do foundations. We know that that video did really well and we got great feedback from it. So how can we do that again? So let's go back and interview him again for a different topic. Or let's take that and create a carousel post with multiple slides talking about the same thing that he was talking about, right? So you can also then turn that into a blog. You can insert clips of him talking about it into the blog. So taking old content that was created that did well and repurposing it is so powerful. And then you can start creating more opportunities for things to go viral within your audience. Now, that's a whole topic. Being viral is a whole topic for another day, but the more you work on what's working, what's not working, you're going to start seeing that momentum grow. So definitely repurposing individual content that you create, but also looking back at what worked before. Now, I could not do an episode about content overload and overwhelm without talking about AI assisted content creation, right? So there's all these tools out there, Jasper, Copy AI, Chat GPT, like there's tons of them now. And a lot of people ask me, how do you use this? Is there a way that I can use that? So the answer is absolutely yes. There is ways to use it, but it's not what you might be thinking, I guess. I see a lot of people type into Chat GPT, I need a post for this topic. And Chat GPT is going to shoot something out at you and you're going to copy and paste it and you're going to post it. That's what I don't want to do, right? Like I do not want exactly what ChatGPT is going to give me. So if you're using these tools, I definitely would say use it for idea generation, writing up your content plan, writing up samples, giving you a starting point, and also repurposing content. It can give you great ideas for how to do that, what that might look like, different sections that you could use. That's all like super great uses of AI. But anything that spits out, you need to make sure is aligned with your brand voice, has the right tone, is aligned with those goals that you've already established, and rewrite it. It's pretty easy these days to see which content is created directly from like ChatGPT. It has a unique style that's pretty easy to identify if you look hard enough. So you want to make sure that with the content that you're creating looks human. So I always say, one, erase the first sentence, edit free time. Anytime ChatGPT sends you something, just erase the first sentence. You're already going to be better. And second, just reword it a little bit. Use it as an idea, use it as a starting point, and then just reword and go from there. Also, maybe not use all of the emojis that it gives you. Sometimes, I don't know what it is, ChatGPT just loves emojis. and puts them everywhere. That might not be your brand. Now, if it is, great. If it's not, I might just tweak that a little bit. You can also use AI to help automate some of your content remixing. So if you do have a long form content or a long form video, there are AI applications out there that will automatically clip that into multiple clips for you and put together these little reel videos. Super easy. It's usually pretty cheap. And that's a great way to use AI that like works for you and is a little bit easier to just take it right out of it. Like it's going to shoot you out something that's actually usable. You may still need to make some changes. Definitely check everything before you post it, but that's a great way to use AI to help with that. So planning, ideas, ideas for writing and starting points, places, and then repurposing content are my favorite ways to use AI. There are a lot of more ideas that you could do to use AI to help with your content creation. But again, that's another episode, right? I could talk about it for ages. So it is not cheating. No matter what anyone tells you, it is not cheating to use AI. And I definitely recommend that you at least give it a try and start playing around with it if you're not already. So finally, after you've created your content calendar, you've broken out each month of the year or the months in your quarter, and then each week, however you're doing that content calendar, I want to just remind you that perfection is not the goal, right? We need to set realistic expectations. And we know that things are going to come up that are not on our perfect, beautiful plan. So I just want to encourage you to aim for progress over perfection, be flexible, and break out of this idea that everything has to either be one way or the other, right? Like it doesn't always have to be fluid. You don't have to do everything on the day that it's due, but you also don't have to jump at every single thing as well. And you don't have to be so regimented that you're just inflexible to work with things that come up. So set realistic expectations for yourself, set yourself goals, say, I'm going to create this 3-month plan. If that's what works for you to get started, great. Do your 3 months, see how it went, reevaluate, and then say, okay, I want to do that again, or I want to try a 6-month plan this time. Whatever works, I think just making the progress is going to help you anyways. But don't expect the first time that you sit down and be like, I'm going to create a content calendar for the entire year and it's going to be every single week. Like that's not really realistic for a lot of people. It might be. If it is, like kudos to you, but don't think that's the only way that this is successful. Sometimes people are like, I just have a content plan for this week, and that's great. So my final action steps would be to start small. Pick one of the strategies that we discussed today and try that, whether that's content pillars, batching, repurposing. Give it a try, see how you like it, see how it helps, and then start expanding that and just trying to reproduce as much as you can. I will say the content pillars and the overall like plan for the year is probably one of the only reasons that I'm able to manage so many different accounts, because it just helps me even when things come up that are unexpected. Right. I can go with it. So I know, oh, well, March, we're doing March Madness. So if there's an open house, how about a March Madness theme or a spring theme? Or you can really connect back like different themes for these months, whether it's by season, by like current events, whatever's happening. Like you can be like, okay, we got an open house. Great. I've already got a theme already started. I've already got some social media already created for this month. So adding on to that is going to be easy. I'm not going to be overwhelmed. That's how you can really become more flexible, but also because you've planned ahead, you're not as overwhelmed. So create a content calendar for the next 2 weeks. That is also what I would recommend. I will put a free content calendar download in the comments below, whether you're watching this on social or YouTube or on any listening podcast apps. There will be a link to a free content calendar template in the comments there. So that will get you started. And again, if you're doing a month, 2 weeks, great. Just see how that works for you. And let me know. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts, your feedback. I would love to hear anything that's working, what's not working. So either private message me, comment in the comments down below. But I would love to hear if any of these tips were helpful to you and if you've tried any of the things that we talked about today. So Thank you so much for tuning into our first episode of the Just Make It Pretty podcast. This was super fun to create for you guys. I'm super excited about the topics coming up as well. I have a whole bunch of topics that I have prepared. So I can't wait for you guys to tune into all of those. And yeah, come back soon and we'll talk then. Bye.